That's the right direction. That's starting to sound really good. Hello. I'm not sure if the live stream has begun. I would like to ask you folks in the background, to be considerate. We have an audience watching on our YouTube channel, WarsawJS YouTube channel. So welcome to the audience on our live stream that's watching. If you have any comments or questions about any of the talks or anything which happens here today, please feel free to enter your comments and questions on our YouTube channel in the chat. We would really appreciate your participation. And here we go. Welcome everybody to WarsawJS Meetup number 111. That's 3 ones, and I'm really into the 3s, so I'm really thrilled to be here today. Let's see if we can get it to click. And of course, it's not clicking. Piotr, are you in the room somewhere? First, let me just introduce you to our illustrious founder, Mr. Piotr. Give him a warm welcome. He's helped to make this all possible. And he's organized this for more than, as you can see, 111 times. However, there have been more than 111 events, including Confront.js and a lot of different conventions and workshops as well. Thank you so much, sir. Give him another hand, Piotr. He is the heart and the engine behind this community, and he's definitely 90% of the reason that I am here. About us, I'm going to need to read this pretty much verbatim, and I'm blind. So we are a local community, and community means not group, but community. And we can discuss the difference between a group and a community a little bit later. Who's here for the first time? Whoa, welcome to the first timers, everybody. Give them a big hand. Give them a hand. Come on. Energy, energy, boom, 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 energy. This is what we need. Really positive energy. Yes, this is a welcoming and very, very supportive community which engages in everything that we do. And your engagement is what makes us a community. We don't just take information, we exchange information. Along with these meetups, we also have monthly workshops, masterclasses, and once a year we organize a hackathon. This is very important information. Of course, you'll be able to find all of this information on our website, www.warsawjs.com. So any other information that you might miss, you might want to check there and see what's going on. We have conferences, including Confront.js once a year. I've been very honored to be involved, or invited at least, to spend time with you and to learn an awful lot in those Confront.js conferences. And we also create original articles on our blog, in cooperation, of course, with our community. So if you have some blog articles, or you're doing an ebook, or you want to publish some kind of chapters from something that you are working on, we really invite you to participate. And finally, I have to say Radio IT. Radio IT, thank you, God, is a podcast which we've been working on for many years, and I am the host of that podcast. And please visit Radio IT on our YouTube channel. We just premiered our first episode last night. Give us a hand. And of course, on our Slack channels, we exchange knowledge. And this gives us a lot of information about each other, and we exchange information and, again, further bond and create a community. Our mission, okay, I need to read this verbatim because this is a new description. Basically, WarsawJS exists to support both professional and novice software developers within the IT community. We intend to accelerate the education process by sharing our knowledge and experience. I'm going to repeat that. Sharing our knowledge and experience. Although our community was established in Warsaw, we are now internationally renowned. This is largely thanks to our global network of members and sponsors. It's also true. We'll talk about the sponsors a little bit more in a moment. WarsawJS is for everyone. We are proud to be able to provide a safe, friendly, and welcoming environment for all, regardless of, I'm just going to skip this part, no matter who you are. So when I go to list these labels of who people are supposed to be, I always push back a little bit. It doesn't matter. Whoever you are, our policy is to treat each other with mutual respect and kindness. Does that sound like a good idea? Does that sound like a good idea? Right. We agree, and that's why we are all here together. We've never really had a situation in which someone didn't understand or agree with that, and that's one of the reasons it feels so comfortable here. We're open to all levels of IT understanding. Members who are new to the industry will have unlimited access to an extensive amount of practical experience and advice. The practical experience, oh, and here I am, Barry Salone, your Master of Ceremonies. Thank you very, very much. We can talk some other time about what I'm doing here, how I got here. No, I do not code. However, I'm very interested in prompting suddenly. Okay, and our amazing team, Piotr Jentara, Sasha Michałowska, Ahmad Pire, Louisa Haas, and Maciej Makniewski, our social media guru. We love you. And we also have our amazing volunteers, and they are amazing. We have Mehdi, Marina, Mateja, give them a hand, Grzegorz, Ilian, Katarzyna, Dawudbek, and Lena. And maybe, if you feel so inclined, you might get inspired to come and help us, because although everything is so perfectly organized and seems easy, this stuff is not easy. It requires a lot of participation and work on the parts of many, many people in order for it to flow relatively smoothly. So we invite you, if you are interested in volunteering, speak to one of the members of our team, and we will be happy to welcome you to join us. All right, we have a contest today, and that means that if you're inspired and feel generous enough to offer a 5-minute lightning talk, that means on any topic that you would like to present to this very, very easy audience. This very easy audience. If you have a topic you'd like to present, please feel welcome to come up and give us a talk for 5 minutes. And for that, you will receive a 100% discount for a 1-year JetBrains license. Please, we invite you, if you're interested, let Louisa or Piotr or Sasha or any of us know. We really appreciate it. If you have a topic that you'd like to present, please scan this QR code. Someday, you never know, everyone should scan it now because you never know, you might end up right where I'm standing someday. You can submit your ideas to us via our website, and we will review it, and hopefully you'll be able to also become one of our great information providers and share something with us. Of course, it would be a talk or a topic which has not been presented before. This is very important. Original content is part of what makes us, let's say, so popular. Over 6,000 members. Give us a hand. 6,000 members. It's the truth. And I would be remiss to not thank, and now we would need to hear a roaring applause for our sponsors today. Snowflake and XFang. Give them a big hand, everyone. Snowflake and XFang. Snowflake has provided this really, really comfortable environment and, of course, refreshments and a little bit of food and snacks. And I've seen even a couple of beers around here, so we should all be very, very comfortable. I had an announcement to make. If you want to take a break, and for some reason, if people are still smoking cigarettes or just need some fresh air, after the second talk, the staff here will be very, very happy to escort you downstairs, because I think you may have noticed that getting in and out is not such a simple affair. You would need to be escorted, and you will need some assistance. So keep that in mind. All right, we also have our media partner, K-Mag. Where was that magazine? I just saw it over there. Give them a hand, our media partner, folks. Very, very fine, high-quality magazine, which is high-end fashion and luxury products. We're very, very happy and proud to be associated with them and to have them as our media partner. Finally, before we go on to introduce our speakers, I'm going to go back a little step. I would like to introduce you to someone, I would like to introduce you to someone who is a representative of Snowflake. Please welcome to the podium Mr. Grzegorz Kapusta.
Thanks, Barry. So as Barry said, I'm Grzegorz Kapusta. I'm a director of engineering and the site lead for Snowflake Warsaw. So I feel like a host here. And first of all, I wanted to say thank you to WarsawJS for putting this all together. And also I wanted to welcome you here in our office. Hopefully it will be a fruitful evening for all of you. You'll learn a lot. And also if you want to reach global audience, there's an Instagram frame in here. If you take a photo, we'll try to post it on our Instagram and you'll be noticed by millions of people around the globe. So I wanted to take just 2 minutes to tell you a bit about who we are and what we really do here in Warsaw. So as some of you may know, Snowflake is a US-based company. It's a data analytics platform, to put it shortly. And we are one of the 5 engineering hubs around the globe. So company originated in the Silicon Valley. We in Poland are one of the 5 engineering hubs. And we've been here for 3 years already, and we grew quite a lot. We have right now around 400 people in this office in Warsaw, mostly focused on building Snowflake platform. And we do all sorts of things here, like building tools to migrate data to Snowflake, building developer tooling, building internal tools as well, and building infrastructure, working with cloud service providers. And last but not least, and why we are the sponsors of WarsawJS, we have quite a large front-end team here. So we build Snowflake UI, we built UI for Snowflake's internal tools and so on. So Krzysztof is one of the members of the front-end team and he'll be speaking here today. So I'll make it short. So welcome everyone, have fun tonight, enjoy our office, enjoy the refreshments and enjoy the content. Thanks.
We thank you, Mr. Grzegorz Kapusta. I had to read that last name twice, I wasn't sure. And I didn't want to mispronounce it. I said it correctly, yes? Listen, folks, it's no joke. This language of yours, I'm speaking about the Polish language now, is not the simplest for lips like these. And there's a lot of effort that needs to go in. If I occasionally happen to say a word in Polish, it just happens naturally. I've been in this country now for over 20 years, maybe over 25 years. I can speak Polish. I prefer not to. It gives me a headache. It is so hard. Okay. Having said that, please, first talk. Each speaker will have between 23 and maximally 25 minutes to speak. We try to enforce this because it is considerate to the other speakers and also to all of the wonderful guests and members of this community who might need to take a break. And timing is very important. So if you hear something like this while you're speaking, that means you have very little time, about 3 minutes. And if you hear this, it's game over. Okay? So yes, be very, very conscious and careful to be concise. And generally, we've been extremely blessed to have a group of speakers or a whole community of speakers who are very, very skilled. So most of us are able to fit that information in very, very tightly. After each talk, you'll have a chance to ask some questions. And as I mentioned, after the second talk, we'll have a chance to take a longer break. Okay, so having said that, let's move forward and please invite to the stage our first speaker, Mr. Krzysztof Rzymkowski. And the title of his talk is Anatomy of a Good Test. Welcome, Krzysztof, to the stage. Welcome, come on, give a warm welcome. Yeah, energy, folks. All right. Ascolto musica.
Me and you, the author of the test, focused on keeping it small and to the point, to do one thing and do it well, and not to wander off and cram a lot of logic into a single test. And having this list of detailed names for a test case, that gives the benefit that you have kind of a living documentation of all the behaviors that given component has. So going back to the starting code, first of all, the name is too generic. Interactions works as expected. Second of all, we have, skimming through the code, I see 3 expect assertions. One is a kind of technical one. One is checking if one row has a disabled query profile option. The other one is enabled. So I would keep it more focused. First of all, change the name to say exactly what I'm doing. Should render disabled query profile option if query is not available. And then expect only that. And keep the other thing in a separate test. Okay, that's a bit better, but still a long way to go. So now let me make it more structured. So there's this convention, the syntax called Gherkin, the given when then. And the question for the audience, and I have swag to give out. What's the relation between Gherkin and this pickle here? Do you know what might be the... Yep, that's a prize for you. So I think what I found is that the Cucumber JVM testing framework introduced the Gherkin syntax. And Gherkin is actually as well the kind of a cucumber you use for pickling. And it's also, in German, it's Gurke, is cucumber, so probably all of this. Okay, never mind. So what the Cucumber framework calls Gherkin syntax is the given when then. And this is the gist of it is I'll have 3 separate sections in each of my tests, starting with initialization, the given, where I set up the environment, dependencies, and the requirements of a tested component. Then I go to execution, the when, where I perform actions to get the component into the desired state. And lastly, expectations, the then, where I put all the assertions on the expected outcome. And this forces me to make the test simple, not to cram a lot of logic to it, not to become a script of intervening actions and assertions. So it makes just the test so much clearer. Oops. To apply it to our test, it's going to be actually quite easy, because it already follows this, this flow. First is the initialization of the data, then actions, and then the assertions. So what I would do, I like to place the comments and make it really clear in the code when each of this section starts. All right. So now what is left, I think, is there's too much of a technical detail in this code that clouds the intent of this test. So I would make it more high level. So the aim is not to mix high-level and low-level concepts in the code, because that makes it harder to comprehend, like switching from thinking about test runner details and then the business logic. So high-level concepts would be like actions like clicking or selecting the interface and things like buttons and icons. And low-level would be DOM nodes, event handlers, endpoints, or network calls. So finally, the test code should read like a manual scenario. So for example, if I would to read out loud the code on the right, it should be understandable to a tester that could click it through on the application. So when I read the code, like given the response to the API endpoint, when I render items and wait for it to load, when the user clicks on item 2, I should see details 2 to be on the screen. Like it feels natural and easy to comprehend. So here in the code, we have a few technicalities. And first of all, there's direct use of mocking. Then there's some setting up context providers for the React component that it's not really bringing much to this, test, but it's required. And some interactions of the rendered DOM nodes. So I would easily abstract this into a few methods. So first of all, the data preparation to a given task history method, then hide the complexity of the context setup or anything that might be required to render in the render test component, and a few other verbosely named methods like wait for the table to be loaded, details button of a given task, or find menu option. Another option is to extend the testing framework, like here on the last line, to be ARIA enabled is an extension to the expect that hides the raw access to the HTML attribute. One thing to note here is also something I like to follow in the given task history method. So what I usually do in the data mocking methods is that they have defaults. Like every field is filled in, but I can overwrite any field that I want. So in this step, I'm only interested in the query ID being empty, because that's what I'm testing. And I also would supply the name, because that's what I'm referencing in the actions below. And all the other fields that a task might have, like created date, status, database, and schema, I'm not interested here. I rely on the defaults. So to have it as little information here as I need, but all the things that I need to be explicitly stated. And we'll get back to how this method might look like in the implementation. OK, this one is kind of close to my heart because of the test-driven development experience. Test on the API and not on the implementation. So what I do in a test is I interact with the component using its public API. So what's a public API for a component? It's its inputs and outputs, first of all. So what I'm passing via props in React, as well as the execution environment, like the browser with its networking, navigation, local and session storage, as well as the global state of the application that my component might assume that is available at runtime. So these I feel I can freely mock or construct, especially for the test, but I avoid like digging into the code and replacing modules, replacing some functions inside the implementation. And like, the general rule would be, don't mock your own application code. And why is it important? Because what I find is that the biggest benefits of having tests is the freedom and safety to refactor the code, to make the implementation better. And the more your test is tied to the implementation, the more any change you introduce is going to break the behavior, break the test, and not break the behavior. So I want to be able to extract components, introduce new abstraction, change the data fetching library, and run the test to be sure that I didn't break any behaviors, because that's not what I want to break. And if I have ties to the implementation, then they don't give, then they will not tell me much. So in our test code, we've already extracted the given task history method, and it can be implemented in different ways. So, like starting with the initial implementation that used mocks, it might have been implemented like this. So where the top function is the first implementation, and it uses, it replaces the hook that the component is using to not do actual network fetching, but to return the data. And here I have the code that I mentioned before for having defaults, but allowing for allowing them to be overridden. Instead of this, I would use, for example, move the mocking a lot further on in the stack. So, for example, use a knock library that allows me to spin up a network, a local server that will respond with the data I want for the test being. And this gives the space between what is rendered and what is mocked, and the whole thing inside the implementation may be changed, and the test will still be green. And I want that freedom to be able to improve the code, extract components, and stuff like that. Okay. Number 5, collocated. So this one is more of an organizational one, but it has some desired consequences. So the gist of it is that I prefer to put the test code right beside the production code. So if I have a task list component in a task list file, I would have a test for it sitting in the same directory besides called task list test component. And the first benefit of this is that it's easy to find the test, right? And the test is a documentation of all the behaviors component, great. But the second less obvious is that this practice steers you into having tests at the lowest possible level. But if you have a shared method extracted to a file, then it begs to have a corresponding test file that unit tests this method. And for every component that introduces some logic, there should be a separate test file right beside it to test exactly that logic that is introduced in this production code. So then your tests on the higher levels rely on the components you're using working properly because they have their tests beside them, and on every level, every piece of logic is tested right beside. And this leaves very little to be tested on the end-to-end level, and that's a good thing, because end-to-end tests are usually the most expensive, the least informative as to the reason of the failure, and kind of flaky because of all the moving parts that they have to interact with. And I really do prefer to keep my tests, E2E tests, as like a last resort smoke tests. So in our code, this could be a possible implementation of the component under test, the task history list. And the question is, what logic is introduced here so that there need to be tests of that logic on this level? So first of all, we have getting the data and displaying it by iterating over the tasks. So first test, it should show tasks from endpoint data. Second, the decision is made whether to show the spinner or the table. So second test, it should show spinner while loading. Then in the middle, there's a decision whether to enable or disable the item show query profile. It should render disabled query profile option when query is not available. And also on click, there's the calling to the navigation method. It should navigate to the task query history profile. Okay, the last one for this talk is isolated. So imagine one of your tests is failing on CI. And what I usually do in that case is pick the test and run it locally, try to reproduce the problem, dig into it. And what I don't want is for the test to be green when run in isolation and failing when run of a suite. Because finding which pair of two tests only fails when run together is really tedious and kind of boring. So to avoid that, I never make my tests dependent on any other tests, and try not to share any state between them. This means setting up the whole environment and any requirements from scratch or resetting it fully before every run of the test. And you want that because tests should come and go in your application. Like some of the features might no longer be desired. Their product changes their idea how the product is used, so you remove the components and test. You should be adding your tests when your product is evolving. And you don't want to actually remove one test and the other one is breaking. So you want to do it freely. One way to have the dependency between tests is the temptation to have a continuation test like this, where the first one is testing something, and after that, the other one picks up right after the first one left. So this would work if you run them sequentially, but the second test will always fail when run in isolation. So I would really get that logic that we have already using high-level constructs and duplicate it in the test below so that it's fully independent and encapsulated. But there are also some more subtle ways to introduce, to break the isolation of the test. Like, let's go into the render test component method. So we move the context setup there. And there's another question for a price. Can you spot how the second test will run successfully when run on its own, but will fail if run together with the test that we've been working on? In the meantime, I'll be explaining the code as you see it. So in the render test component, we have our component, and then we set up telemetry. Telemetry meaning that's going to be gathering the interactions with the page to push it then to have the log of what the user is interacting with. And it's going to be placing it in the test telemetry object in the array. So the second test, it emits task action telemetry events, is rendering the component, clicking on the show query profile, and checking if the registered events got this telemetry event. So can you guys think of how could this break when run together? Yeah, is this the same? Yeah. I have two prices. Sorry? Can you repeat the question? The question was how this second test can run successfully in isolation, but when run together with the first test, it will fail. And the answer was that we're checking for the exact array if it's one element, and the first test is going to pollute this telemetry events array because it's also clicking on the show query profile. So the solution to that is simple. Just reset the array on every render. Start with clean slate. Do not share anything between the tests. Keep in mind that the environment should be set up from 0. So these are the essential traits I find for tests to be good. And good meaning easy to read and maintain, and giving valuable feedback. So focused, starting with a good name, structured for easy navigation inside, high level for the ease of reading it, and on the ABI to be resilient to any refactorings, collocated for convenient discovery and restrained scope, and isolated for easy debugging and maintenance. And if you're an engineer really into testing, we have a few open roles in Snowflake. One of them, several of them is we're looking for SDETs, meaning software developer engineer in test. We're looking for engineers who might want to switch to focus more on testing, or the test engineers. And check out our other roles. And that concludes my talk in time.
Stay right there.
Yep.
Don't go anywhere. Stay right there and speak, please, into this microphone, okay? Closely. That was great, right? Everyone enjoy that presentation? I'm wondering about ourselves. Are we co-located? Are we isolated? What are we anyway? Does anyone have any questions for Krzysztof about this talk? Any question whatsoever? There are no dumb questions. Every question will be appreciated. Any questions whatsoever? Hold on 1 second. I'll be right with you, sir. Take this.
Thank you for presentation. I have one question. How often you run your tests on CI? On each commit, each pull request, before releases?
We run them on every pull request. Before the pull request can be merged, all the tests should pass. Yeah, so we run them often. Like we have a lot of tests for Snow site in tens of thousands. So I often don't run them locally, the full suite, only the tests that are close by code that I'm changing, but the full suite is run on every pull request.
Was that a good answer for your question, sir? Next question? Oh, okay.
All right, you have said that you want your tests to be isolated, but do you verify it in any way?
Actually, we could do it. We don't do it, I think. We could randomize. There are tools for that you can run the suits on the site with the flags to run them in different order, so that could pick up those lacks of isolation. But actually, we don't have that much of a problem with that. It happens rarely, and keeping your discipline saves you from having that problem at all.
All righty, thank you.
Thanks.
So you talked about unit testing and also a little bit about end-to-end testing. Like it's good to have some end-to-end tests, but not too much. And I respect that. I don't like end-to-end tests at all. I think they are clunky and often too complicated. However, I was about to ask you, what do you think about integration testing? How does it fit into the picture?
So I guess we had this kind of big discussion between whether what I was describing is still a unit test or is an integration test. Because there's no shallow rendering, like it does render the whole stack. I'm okay with the assertions to pick up the DOM elements, not only on this level, but on another level. So I kind of feel these are the integration tests because they do a full sub-render of the tree. And if we have tests on really the whole page, like the page that I showed, we have tests on that level. So they render a whole tree with the mock-out source of data. So I feel these are the kind of integration states we have. And after that, we have tests running with the actual build application with the actual backend.
Good answer? Okay. Any other questions for Krzysztof? Oh, you got the mic. Go ahead.
Hi, Krzysztof. Thank you for your presentation. It was great. I just wanted to add, and also I'm really happy that we follow those rules in my project, so good to know that. I just wanted to add as a tip for you guys that they find queries. If they do not find anything, they throw an error, so you actually do not have to then check whether calling the to be in the document method, and also you do not have to check for the to have attribute methods because the find queries support the configuration object where you can pass the variables as disabled false or disabled true, check true, and check false. Just to add to your presentation on the top. Thank you.
Do you have a question?
No,
No, I'm sorry.
I can still relate.
I'm sorry.
I thank you. Yeah, you're right. Though sometimes I still feel a need to have the expectations statement, the then. What do I put in then if my finds before that will throw? Okay, but I want to show the reader of the code that I want this to be visible. So I'll even put an explicit expect find to be in the document, even if I know it's going to not fail before, but I want to explicitly state what I'm expecting here to happen.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much. Yes, more time for discussion later. This is a great opportunity for me to remind everyone to please have a question. Sometimes it happens that you make a short statement before your question. However, we really, really encourage you to ask questions so that you can get some good answers from this man.
Thank you for the talk. I wonder about your TDD workflow within your company. Are you doing that? And how you do that? Is every engineer also responsible for writing their own test, or is it only done by you QA guys?
Okay, there are a few questions there. So starting from the last one, yes, every engineer is expected to write the tests for their own code. And beside that, we have some software engineers in test that kind of work more on the end-to-end tests. And as for TDD, that's, I think, is a topic for a whole new talk. It can be done on the front end as well. I don't do it all the time, but when I have the well-defined requirements, well-defined what I need to do, then I start with writing out the behaviors in the test using the roles or test locators. You can write up what is expected. When I click this should pop up. When I click this, it should close. You can write it even before you have the implementation. So when I can, I do it. It's not always you're extending some component and fighting with the browser. Like it's going to be harder, but and it's also, I said, it's not a company policy. Like the teams can do it if they want to.
Thank you very much. I think that if you have any more questions for Krzysztof, he might be still here and able to answer them when we have a longer break in between talks. Okay, everyone? Let's thank Krzysztof again for his fantastic presentation. Something that comes to mind. I've been working with, I want to say, you folks for the past few years. I've learned a tremendous amount about software engineering, development, and programming. It's unbelievable. I'm the last person on the planet who would be thinking about such things. And talks like this and questions like the one that you just offered are really informative for people who are just beginning. Two things. I've heard that, is this true? True or false? There's never enough time for testing. Who agree? Okay, yeah. The things that I've heard over the years is that, the testing, of course, it's important. The documentation is important. And for some reason, we're always in some kind of a crunch, and there never seems to be quite enough time for testing. Well, of course, I am on the side of doing as much testing as you can. This improves the quality of the product and also the standards in the industry in general. Plus, by the way, how are you today? Pocztarski, yeah? And by the way, I love the fact that this is the land of opportunity. Not only are you getting information, but they have positions available. Can you imagine that? So this is a really, really fantastic talk. Thank you very much, Krzysztof. Our next
title of my talk is actually quite complicated, and when I was doing the slides, I thought that maybe I could do it a little bit shorter. So, do you hear me well? Yeah, okay. I thought that you were... Sorry? Yes, yeah. So this is like a little bit shorter probably, but since we are talking about functional programming, I thought that maybe this will be like more understandable for everyone. And maybe there are some Perl developers here, so I just couldn't resist really. But okay, my name is Rafał Pocztarski. I'm a staff backend engineer at RAMP. You may know me from Stack Overflow.
So sorry, one moment.
Okay.
Just one moment. I need to remind everyone that because of the particular acoustics in this room, we can basically hear everything you're saying. So please be careful because we are performing a live stream and it might interfere with us being able to hear the speaker. Thank you so much.
Okay. Yes, so some of you may know me from Stack Overflow. I don't know, Piotr, if I can reload the page because I think that I just try to do it because I see that, so some people recognize my avatar more than myself, so I usually start my talks with adding my, Stack Overflow avatar. But that's enough about me. Here's some background about the things that I would like to talk about. I would like to talk about JavaScript, and I think that JavaScript always was functional. I mean, not in like a traditional way, because it was sometimes a little bit dysfunctional, but in a mathematical sense. So in like, as in functional programming. And now we have TypeScript, which is even more functional in the traditional sense, in being functional in the mathematical sense. And this is what I would like to focus today. Of course, there are different paradigms that we can talk about, speaking about both of those languages, but and there is pretty much a lot that can be said about them, but I would like to focus that for me personally as a backend developer, the most important aspects of them are that they are functional, asynchronous, non-blocking, and single-threaded, which have some serious consequences in how we have to think about the code. But today I would only like to focus about it being functional. And when we drop JS from that, we can also say that it's statically typed. So being functional and statically typed gives us a lot of good frameworks to reason about our code and the control flow and all of the logic. But we have some exceptional problems with the type system in TypeScript. And in JavaScript, we also have like a lot of like non-values. There's like null, undefined, no value at all. This is all pretty much different, and these have some bad consequences. The creator of null once said that it was like $1 billion mistake. So like, I guess in JavaScript, we have like at least 3 of those. So we are like 3 times as much lucky as most of the languages. And there is a problem that we have like errors, we have exceptions, that exceptions don't necessarily have to be errors. They can be thrown pretty much any other type of data. And the errors don't have to be really raised as an exceptions. We have rejected promises, which is something a little bit different. So this is also a little bit complicated. So, but maybe there is some option to make it more like manageable thanks to functional programming. And there is FPTS that probably a lot of people know that can rescue us here with all of this. And there is like, I would like to show there will be not a lot of code in my talk, but there is like an option type, which is like a tagged union that can be used instead of using null or undefined or like no value, which is actually a pretty simple object with just a tag and some value. And there is either type, which is either a value or an error, which is also pretty easy when you see how it is implemented. So we all love FPTS, we can use all of this, but there is like one thing that last year happened, that it was announced that FPTS actually is merging with FFTS, and Giulio Canti actually joins the Effectful Technologies, which is a startup behind the FFTS. And Giulio Canti, if someone is not familiar, is actually basically FPTS is his private project on GitHub. So if he is joining FFTS, then basically like everyone after some time will probably all the development move there. So we have no choice. We have to love Effect like we love FPTS today. And as you can see, this is exactly the same as FPTS. If anyone is familiar, there's like no difference in the option type and option object, and also the either type and either object. I don't see anyone like raising any objection here, but actually there are some quite subtle differences. So the problem is that like the effect has a little bit different types and a little bit different values of those tagged unions. I won't go into details here because we don't have a lot of time, but I will gladly talk about it later. But it basically means that we cannot just switch from using FPTS to effect, and we cannot really use them interchangeably in one code base. So this have some consequences in migration. So we would pretty much have to like migrate to effect instead of using both of them in the same project. And also the either type is also different. But I will maybe go into the details here, but it's important to just know that the types are not entirely compatible. They can be assigned one way, but not the other. So this is not like a simple, it is not really possible for a large project to like progressively switch some parts from FPTS to effect. It would pretty much have to happen at the same time. And there is also an interesting concept in effect, which is called defect, which is like an unexpected failure, which is to make it different, that this is not like an error like 404 that everything is okay. I don't have the resource that you are asking me, and I'm like correctly responding with an error message, but that actually some of my code is broken and I have to fix it. So the defects are those bugs in my are effects of bugs of my program instead of like an expected behavior. So this is also one of the differences between FPTS and effect. So like switching from FPTS to effect, in my opinion, will be inevitable, but a little bit tricky. But this is perfect time to learn, actually. This is like my own quote, that it's this a very good time to learn. I just had to quote myself to make the slides better. So as you can see, this is like the scope of the project is a little bit bigger, but if you just not look about the new additions, and just focus on about type errors and pipeable APIs, then we can just learn to migrate the code from FPTS to Effect, and later maybe use some other features. This is like a little spoiler that this is like more advanced code in Effect. It uses generator functions, and like someone who used actually coroutines before async await might be a little bit familiar with this pattern, and this is something that Effect uses to make the functional code like use more imperative or more sometimes easier to manage. And also actually the team of Effect has created like a fork of TypeScript, which is called TypeScript Plus. And let's just not maybe go deeply into that, but there is like a different dialect of TypeScript that is meant to make the strange syntax more mainstream, and I guess that maybe it will in the future result in some changes in the TypeScript itself, hopefully. Okay, so here is why I think that we should really think about it and think about it seriously in just for other reasons than just technical, like the good software. So first is the startup called Effectful Technologies, which is created and which is like a strong company that is behind the development of Effect. So this is like no longer a project of one person on GitHub and some volunteers, but this is actually a big effort to produce some strong and reliable software. Soon there will be the conference Effect Days. This is like a 3-day conference in Vienna, so this is also huge. I think that after this conference, there will be a lot of like YouTube videos from this conference, and I think that it will start getting much more traction than during this year when it was originally developed. Giulio Canti, as I said, joins Effectful Technologies. And Giulio Canti, if anyone doesn't know, this is like the G Canti from the URL of the repository of FPTS. So this is like the main person of FPTS itself. So that's another reason that I think that the development will switch from FPTS to Effect. And the FPTS is basically, was announced to be merging into Effect. This was announced by Michael Arnaldi, which is the founder of Effectful Technologies. So this is something also, there's a good article by Michael Arnaldi about it. My slides will be, the URL will be available at the end. So if anyone wants to take a look at the links, that it will be there. And the Effectful Technologies announced that Effect is only the layer 0 of what we have in mind. And this, I think, is like the bigger thing. It can be overlooked, but I think that the entire company, the people behind it, think about building some big and more complicated like frameworks on top of Effect, as I think. And this is another reason why I think it should be like we should focus on it to see how it goes and what will be announced on the Effect Days. So you can also follow some of the icons on Twitter. I mean on X, sorry. So this is like the Effectful Technology, the FXTS account, Giulio Canti and Michael Arnaldi. A lot of good news is there, links to articles. So if you follow those 4 accounts, then you are pretty much covered. And the best resources is like the effect.website. This is the URL of the FXTS. And it has really excellent documentation. This is really good. I encourage everyone to take a look at it, just even if you don't plan to using it, but this is like an example good documentation that I've seen. And also the FPTS documentation is good to read along and compare if you are already familiar with that. So this was quick. I wanted to have some room for questions. or maybe if there are not questions, then maybe not. But if there are any questions, I prepared some bribes for you. There are some Rubik's cubes, so if anyone would ask a question, then feel free to grab a cube and have fun with it. Okay, so that's it from me, and maybe if there are some questions, then.
1, 2, 1, 2, again. Once more. Yeah. Well, learn something every day, huh? That's my motto. Okay, so I work with language and communication and this effectful tech. This is a really interesting development. If you had any question, by the way, our online audience, we are in Warsaw, Poland. And in fact, we are at the forefront of developing technology. I've said it before, the most gifted and resilient and rich IT community exists right here in Poland and maybe in Warsaw. Amazing stuff. You have a question, sir?
Hi, thank you for the great presentation. I wonder what's your personal experience with Effect and how did you use that in your own projects and what was the result or the impact on the reliability of your code?
Yeah, very good question. And my answer is that I have not a lot of experience, not in any project. So this is like I decided to share with you about this early before I even like got deep into it instead of like 2 years from now. And I'm currently using FPTS for some of the projects. And this is, I think that some of the typings that are different from FPTS in FPTS can help be more type safe in your code. And also there is a lot of different things that are not present in FPTS. So for example, there are like fibers, it's basically pretty much like a different kind of asynchronous computations that you can start, for example, create those effects that are like, for example, like asynchronous functions that you can, for example, stop in the middle. You don't have, with async functions, you cannot do it. They go like, you can ignore the promise, but you cannot cancel it when it's going on. With Effect, you can do it. You can have like automatic like retries, automatic, like a lot of, even like exponential backoff and retry can be done like in one line of code. So if you structure your code in Effect, I think that this will scale really well, because what I'm currently using with FPTS is mostly for like error handling and like those either types or like instead of using nulls and undefines. But I think that with Effect, we can model entirely different like asynchronous computation model and like the different control flow. So this is something that I really encourage everyone to use, but this is what I'm just starting to do. And I decided to share just at the beginning of my like interest in it. I hope that it answers your question, and please don't forget to grab your Rubik's Cube. I will. Okay.
Hi, thank you for the talk. And the question I have, you mentioned TypeScript Plus. I wonder how the Effect team is kind of approaching keeping up with the TypeScript releases, and do they plan eventually to push to merge those extensions to the TypeScript mainstream?
I think that currently they are merging the new versions, and they are like keeping the fork that is up to date. But this is what I was also worrying about, how they can in the long run keep up with the development of would they keep the fork forever? I hope that it would be like a proof of concept for the TypeScript team to maybe see some features that they implemented and maybe merge it upstream. So that would be like a long-term solution, I think, to have like a single language. Also, there's like a question of how do you use different compilers if it's like a forked, because this is basically like a forked TSC compiler from like the TypeScript official compiler. But we have like SWC that we might use, which is not compatible with the dialect. So what I personally hope is that it will be like a testing ground for new features of the language that would support this functional programming style. and maybe this will be merged into TypeScript, but currently the only TS Plus is only used inside of the project of Effect. You are not expected to use it yourself. You are expected to use normal TypeScript. This is like something to simplify the internal development of the project. So it is itself compiled with the TypeScript Plus compiler, but like no one is really, it is not really even that easy to find that they are using different compiler. They are not like talking about it everywhere. So it is not like visible in the documentation. So, but this is a sign for me that they are very serious about this framework if they are even creating a new version of the language and the compiler.
Wow. I must say, it's not very easy to create a feeling of anticipation in this room. I think you have done that. I think that people are very curious about what will happen and how this will develop. Is that right? Yeah, interested. Yeah. Mr. Any other questions for Rafał? Any other questions for Mr. Pocztarski? Przepraszam.
There has to be one question because there is one Rubik's Cube left.
We have one Rubik's Cube. He heard Rubik's Cube and the hand shot up. Okay, one moment, sir. I'll be right with you.
Yeah, so hi. Thanks for your presentation. At the beginning, you mentioned that Effect TS has sometimes for none value, so no value. And I wonder if it can be used somehow, or do you have any experience with schemas generated from Swagger, like with open API tools, which are nullable? Or, for example, when we have front-end validations with UP and ZOD, when we have nullable values, do you think that it can be used for handling those processes? Because sometimes there is really a mess with optional properties and when something can be undefined and so on. So do you have any experience with that?
The non-type in Effect, as you notice, it's typed, so it's not like just none, but it's none of something. So this have some consequences in at least with interoperability with FPTS. So you cannot pass it both ways. One way it will work, but the other way the type system will say that this is the non-value of not the thing that you are expecting, which is a little bit crazy when you think about it. You gave me nothing, but nothing of not what I was expecting. I was expecting nothing of something else. So. But this have some consequences in later when you reason about the program, because usually you expect something and is rarely you rarely expect nothing of anything, because usually it's either something or something specific, either nothing or something specific that has some methods or some properties, and this is, I think, this is easier for the library to keep track of the types internally. But one of the disadvantages of this is that lack of interoperability both ways with FPTS. But I don't think that this will be something much different for us, because the methods that you use on the method of working with the non-type, you basically never really type anything as none, because you rarely want to get nothing, but you really use either. Here in the option type, so either nothing or something. But here is the nothing of some kind, which is later processed. This is actually when in my experience of experimentation that I did, I have more experience with FPTS, as I said. I don't think there will be much difference in working with it. But I think that maybe it is easier internally for the framework to track the types, especially when you have those generator functions that are crazy, complicated internally, how they because they yield the wrapped objects that are those effects that are there. And I think that it was a decision that made easier the implementation, not exactly the usage would be much different. But this is a very good question. I myself want to like dig more deeply into it. Maybe there are some discussions on GitHub. I always like to dig some old discussions on GitHub issues and see the rationale behind it. But this is a very good question. Certainly worth a Rubik's Cube.
Mr. Pocztarski, you have a very incredible sense of humor. You know that, right?
Oh, really? I didn't know.
You are really funny. I mean,
the
come
first
on.
person to tell me.
Yes or no? You feel it. You feel it. Nothing of some kind. That was the phrase that really got me. You won me over. Once again, please, everyone, give a big hand to Rafał Pocztarski. Pocztarski.com. And yes, he is an ally on Code Wars if you'd like to invite him to be an ally.
Yeah.
After this talk, I just want to remind everyone, we will be taking a longer break. Thank you so much, sir,
Thank you.
one more time. And
My
you are
pleasure.
really funny.
My
I'm just
pleasure.
saying,
Thanks.
you are. We'll be taking a break, and please be mindful of meeting back here. Okay, I'm hearing there's pizza. All right. That being said, let's please be back here, all in relative order, in 20 minutes. Is that possible? 20 minutes? 25? It's going to get messy. Okay, 23 minutes, everyone. See you when you get back. Thank you. I hope everyone has enjoyed the pizza. Was it good? Was it all right? Yeah? Okay. Is everybody all right? Okay. This is important. We need your attention right here on the stage. We have a speaker who's with us not for the first time, giving a talk. The title of the talk is Reverse Engineering Everything to Get Rid of Trust Issues. And our speaker's name is Mikhail Korolev. Give him a big hand, everybody.
One. Awesome. Hello, WarsawJS. Thank you so much for having me here. And thank you to Snowflake for letting us feast on this beautiful infrastructure. It's really a great place. Anyway, today I have a little bit of a clickbaity title. And also this is the first time I'm doing this, which includes a bit of live coding. So if thing goes sideways, just bear with me. All right. Now, this is a WarsawJS Meetup. And who here thinks they know JavaScript? That is way less hands than I expect. So, has anyone ever been on engineering JavaScript interview on either side, either as an attendee, interviewer? Come on. Nice. Oh, have you ever seen a question like this? Does anyone know the answer to the question? What's the order of the console logs that are going to pop up? So, who? Piotr, you raised your hand. You know the answer? No? Okay. So, in my opinion, the answer to this question, the correct answer is, I have no idea, but I know how to find out. And this is something I want at least some of you to be able to say by the end of this talk. And all right, anyway, my name is Mikhail. I work as a developer experience engineer in a company called StopTel. These days I'm mostly busy with all the things about developer happiness and front-end infrastructure. Usually I talk about silly things, like, I like for the people to have a little bit of fun in their lives, but today I'm going to be a little bit more serious, and I'm going to say that you don't have to know everything. With all those frameworks and things appearing out of nowhere every other week, you feel like you're going to miss out on stuff if you don't jump right into it. But I'm going to say that you don't have to. For instance, anyone here familiar with React? Nice, awesome. And does anyone actually know how React hooks work under the hood? Exactly, it's magic. Does anyone know how Svelte reactivity works? No? Okay. Anyway, and I think you don't have to know. As someone said, it is magic, and you can understand magic, and with time and experience you get over the time, you will learn all the shortcomings and edge cases of the said technology, but you don't have to actually know how it works under the hood. It's magic. You can learn it, you can harness the magic, and you can learn how to use it. But it's nice to know, isn't it? So, with that said, over I don't know how many years, recent years, the JavaScript has been taken as a programming language of choice over consumer application development space. It's relatively easy to find JavaScript developers to write your web apps, desktop apps, mobile apps, edge, server, cloud, you name it. We even sent JavaScript to space at some point. And yeah, there are a lot of flavors of JavaScript, and someone said like TypeScript plus, TypeScript, ReasonML, Flow, you name it. But at the end, it's always the JavaScript that comes out. And anyone else feels frustrated that everything runs on JavaScript? I don't feel the good thing that there is a whole browser shipped with my Slack, right? Or something like this. No? Okay. Yeah, I actually feel the same way, but I also think that it's amazing that everything runs on JavaScript. And the reason is, everything that runs in your browser or in other runtimes, and it's JavaScript, it can be broken down, changed, overridden, and disassembled in real time. It's kind of like it gives you the superpowers, kind of repairing the car that you are driving on the highway. And here's a let me show you the simple example. Can I switch to this? Whoop. Okay. Sorry. Let's say you wanted to look up a recipe for world's best pancakes. And I hope I'm not the only one who does it. So you see you looked it up. And oh, there's just something that popped up that messes up with your browsing experience. You really want to get as fast as you can to those pancakes. So what do? You just fire up your trusted dev tools, and you just remove that, right? Please tell me I'm not the only one who does that. This is for stuff like ad block. Please disable the ad block. Okay, I will. Yeah, we all do that, obviously. And it works, and that is beautiful. All right, now I guess it's story time. There is a website called thegarden.com.us, which is a US-based healthy food-ish fancy online retailer store. And there's a promotion on this website, which is for every $200 you spend, you get kind of a chance to enroll into a kind of promotional lottery, whatever. And you log in as a respectable customer with your loyalty ID, and then you get to, flip some cards around and get some discounts, right? So you press this, you press here, boom, you get some offers. It's nice, looks okay. You can run to the store and buy some stuff, I guess. And I said to myself, okay, it's good. You can do it once per day. And I did it on the first day. Okay, next day I came in again, and I again rolled some of the other discounts. And on the Wednesday, I thought to myself, I feel like there's something off about this. I don't know why, but maybe it's just me that I'm a bit weird about this. Actually, let me log out. I have another customer ID that I borrowed. And I thought to myself, okay, I don't know why, but as a matter of fact, I worked in a similar company before, and every Black Friday, every significant event, I would do something like this to lure the customers. And I know this is always for the business benefit, right? But okay. What I did is every time I wanted to mess with a website, I just open up Web Tools and I go to the network tab. See if something is happening. There's some analytics request. We can actually filter the. Is it visible enough? Is it bad? Is it big? Is it small? It's okay. Awesome. So every time I click somewhere, there's an analytics event, which we will filter out for the later. Oop. That's the way. And then I press the button, and I got 2 requests. Okay, let's reveal some cards, and we can see. Anyone sees anything suspicious? There is no request being made as soon as I reveal the cards, which means those bastards rigged the game. They already know what I want even before I flip the cards. And I don't like that. I don't like to be a product. I want to know. It feels like an unfair game, right? And at this point, I could be disappointed and just walked away, but no, I didn't even start the timer. Okay. So I thought to myself, I want to play a little detective game because that's what I usually do for no reason at all. Okay, let me see. I discovered several things. First of all, I went to the cookies tab that we have here and actually figure out that they store each of your attempts, they store in the cookie. And if you remove that cookie, you can just play again. It's kind of funny. Just a side note. Yeah, you can just go flip the cards again, get a different offer if you want. But the offer is never fair because you always see that there are some big discounts, like 70%, 79%. I always wanted to get those. I figured, what if I, somehow tap into the website code and figure it out? Now we actually know that we can just remove the cookie. It's much easier to manipulate the website in any way. Just remove that, go again, refresh the website just in case. So there are several, when you don't know what you're looking for, you have several entry points into, say, the runtime of the code. You can either break your code when something in the web page changes, or if there's always has to be some data coming into your client side from the server side. So we could also try to look for that. So let's play again and look at our network tab. We have 2 requests here. And none of them actually contains what we are interested in. So let's just pop this off quickly. Oh, no, I need to remove my cookie again. All right. Let's try this again. And we will start by going to my second favorite Chrome Developer Tools tab, which is called Sources, which is where all the JavaScript lives. It's whatever comes from the server, whatever lives in our browser now. And if we don't know where is the point of what we're looking for, there are several ways to break your code at a given point. And one of those is stop when network requests come through. So, and I press the start button, my code breaks as expected. And this one looks like an analytics, so we're not interested. We just go to the next one. And this request, let me pop this off like this. This request looks like maybe it's something that we're looking for. And in order for us to actually check it out, we look into this beautiful call stack tab, which you this is at some point somewhere here. What? No! Hello? I didn't do anything. I get extra minutes for that, right? That is not illegal. Oh, I forgot to do. Okay. All good? Awesome. Sweet. All right. We see the call stack tab. And you can travel through it to see where actually the request is coming from. Right? All good? Awesome. All right. So you can see you just go and press random places. You can see this kind of looks like a framework internals. There are some things that may be related to how whatever technology the website is using. But down here we have something called onStart, which is human readable. And it does look to me a little bit like a business logic kind of ish thing. It's some React components I can see here, and it's all right. I know that this looks like, obviously I already know that because I already done that, but for the sake of saving time, I'm just gonna say that it is what we're looking for. Okay, so now give me back. So let's place a breakpoint here, which is when something happens. And this is how we got here through the call stack, all right? And then we are going to continue our code. Oh yeah, let's remove the original thing in here. Yeah. And we got an array of something from the server, which is, let's check it out, in the scope, and that is exactly what we were looking for. An array of products. It was easy. Why are you clapping? And yeah, so we have, actually, there's even a property that's called possible true. That's insane. They already know that we rigged everything. So we have an array of 9 things, which are cards, I assume. And judging by this, I get kombucha tea and fruit and nut bars if nothing is getting shuffled. And yeah, there it is. So exactly, we already know before we even reveal the cards. That all makes sense. But now I just wanted to, how much time do I have? No idea. Okay. Now I just wanted to share little tricks because all of this code is, as you can see, it is minified. Before, the big JavaScript lobby came in and asked us, okay, now we're going to have frameworks. We'll build everything. Everything will be mangled and impossible to read for the human. Before that, it was pretty good. Every time you would go to a website, you could just open the source code, and whatever you see is whatever developers are intended. But here, I'm actually going to use something very interesting, another great feature of the Chrome developer tools, which is we can overwrite any file with a local copy of what we are. Basically, we can tell the Chrome that this file is now our local file. And that allows us to change the tires of the car that's on the highway, as I said before. Now we got it in a folder somewhere, and for that I usually switch to IDE because it has some nice refactoring capabilities. All right, let me see. And this is how I would usually, anyone actually ever approached something like disassembling machine code? Nice, nice. So this process is actually, even though it's not a machine code, but the process is very similar. You go through something that is not human readable, and you make it human readable by trying to understand what does it do. And I will again skip through some of this stuff because I know it's not relevant. And I think, yeah, that is basically the component that we are trying to understand. we already figured out that it is React, and it returns some JSX, whatever. And that thing, let's start with just renaming the function, which is going to be some game component. Is the font big enough? Should it be bigger? Like this. Ooh, much better. And we have the props here, which we rename. The reason I'm using ID is because I can right away I rename all the occurrences in the file at the same time. And we are getting some stuff from props, has played from props, I would say, and last date, FP, let's say, to save some time. And this is coming from props, so I assume this is when you have already played the game before. This is how the component knows it. And this looks obviously like a React use state, which this one is already, we have already unminified it in our mind and in the code in some way. And we can see that if you have played from props, something is restored, otherwise it's intro. So I would assume that this is something like a game state. Game state, renaming, and set game state. All right, next one is an array. We have no idea what it is right now, so we can just call it some array, and this one's going to be set some array. All right, next one, another set state, use state, which is object from entries array from array 9 keys map, which is, okay, this one is creating an object from 0 to 8 with nulls as keys, which actually coincidentally looks like the cards that we have here. So I would call this card state, for example. Card state, and this one's going to be set card state. You see the pattern. So we go over, as we uncover more and more variables, we start to understand what the code actually does without having any access to the source file. And this one is 0, so it's a number. And number. Is it too boring? It's fun? So, I don't know. For me, it's always funny because it's kind of like a detective game. You uncover stuff. Okay, this one is not a number. Oh, I messed it up. Give me a second. Yeah, it's going to be set number. I'm not even pressing shift. Okay, then we have a use effect. If player has played from props, then something happens, and we set some array to the result of whatever happens. I assume this is to retrieve our products from the server, the one that we have already discovered. So set some array is actually, let's say, set product list, maybe? Okay, I messed it up, but it's fine. And this is going to be product list. This is just a suggestion. You can rename them later, but the way you want. Let's go next, and we see a long function. Actually, I also like to collapse the functions that I'm already sort of done with. And here we have a function that says if a number is less than 2, we increment it. And I assume this is what happens when you press on the card. So you rename the function on card press. And it's probably an index of some sort. So we see we increase then a number. Oh, what is the number actually? I think, I know, but I think that you think that this is attempts. Set attempt, let's see, attempy. All right. And from this, we can kind of see how the stuff works. So this is where you press on the card, something happens. And if this is the second, so it's obviously starts from 0. When it's the last attempt, you reveal all the cards, and then you set the game state to finish. And just by doing stuff like this, you can reverse engineer everything. And it's not easy in some cases. In some cases, it's very easy. In some cases, you already have the source code for free, which is amazing. And here we have on start, something happens. We set the product list and set the game state to start it. So I assume this is what we were looking for originally. Let's just console log it at some point. Log. Almost done, Barry. Then we save it. And this is actually how we modified stuff at runtime. We press on the start, and it should be in the console right here. We changed the website source code, and we know now the stuff that was supposed to happen. Okay. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a little bit rushed. There's a lot of stuff I would like to talk about regarding the reverse engineering. It's a very incredibly fun activity. And also, of course, this website is not real because, yes, it just runs on my computer. But the story is real because that's actually something that happened to me. But for obvious reasons, I cannot replicate it here, and it would be considered illegal, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, thanks. It's time for the final slide. Thank you for your time. And awesome. This is just a QR code if you want to contact with me. This is a website that has all my data. And thank you again.
Mikhail, thank you very much. Anyone have any questions for Mikhail? First question, here we go.
Hello. So I wonder, what's your reverse engineering story at work? Have you ever encountered a case when you had to do something similar? Or in private life?
I think, yes. I think one of the worst case scenarios of this was that we had some kind of analytics side, like analytics that we do not own, that comes from somewhere, and it was causing a terrible mess in our loading times on the web because we were fighting for the bytes. Because at that time, there was when Core Web Vitals were announced that they would affect your CEO rating in Google. And we noticed that the analytics from the side is terribly lagging our website. So we reached out to the engineers on the analytics company. They said, yeah, we'll fix it sometime. And then we just had to kind of reverse engineer, find out what exactly is causing the lag, fix it, and basically just sent the guys like, okay, this is the new version, we fixed it. This is exactly what you need to do. And they shipped the new version on the next day. That was a great win.
Thank you. I always think of ufology when I hear reverse engineering. I mean, I know this stuff is complicated or complex. It always makes me think of reverse engineering some kind of alien spacecraft. Anyone else have another question for Mikhail? Come on, reverse engineering. How do we? I have a question. Oh, here you go.
So I was about to ask, maybe there are some tools that you would recommend for reverse engineering, like demangling, JS code to some kind of possible original form, right?
Yeah. So I actually don't really have anything specific. There is. So I used to do I would copy the code to the IDE and just press unminify button, so it will look nicer because it's one single line, obviously, from when it comes from. But now it's built into the DevTools. So DevTools has gotten so much better, and even if they had refactoring capabilities for renaming the variables, that would be all what I would have needed to. But for now, it's just probably pretty much any IDE you would do, you can do. That has the refactoring capabilities, that what you would use. Exactly. Something like this.
Good answer. Any other question for Mikhail before we move on? I have a very basic question. This might sound very uninformed.
Is it about AI?
It's not about AI. So anyone who knows, it's like, please don't bring up AI. I'm wondering how important, or if it's possible to reverse engineer any application, any program without documentation. How difficult? Is it possible?
Yes.
Which question are you answering? I mean, how important is documentation?
Documentation? Yeah. If the app is built and is not supposed to be tampered with, like a website, why would you provide instructions on how to reverse engineer your own website? No.
Well, no,
it's not something people do.
Yeah, it generally would not be, if you have no access to how the thing was built.
Yeah, exactly.
It is then possible to reverse engineer using the techniques.
But I think it's almost always possible to reverse engineer anything.
True.
Given enough time, and
given enough time. Okay. Yeah. Is that true? Okay, that was just a question that always confounded me. Like, how can you know where you are if you don't know where you came from? And it's perplexing for persons like myself. Mikhail, thank you very much. One more time. Give him a really big hand for his presentation. And I think we're going to have time to reintroduce or introduce our next speaker. Let's see what happens next. Okay, we're coming forward and backward. Are you saying that it's time for lightning talks? Who is our first lightning talk speaker this evening? Because I'm not at the moment quite informed. Andrei? Andrei. I don't see that person here. Can you show me, please? Forgive me, I just didn't have, I didn't need a moment. Andrei, welcome, welcome, welcome. Mikuliak?
Mikuliak.
Mayor?
We can try later.
Say it again. No, I want to hear it now.
Mikuliak.
Mekuliak. Andrei.
Almost perfect.
Oh, I'm trying really hard. Welcome him to the stage, everybody. You have 5 minutes, Andrei, once you begin. Andrei.
Can be 6?
The pronunciation. It's tough.
Okay.
5 minutes, and then some questions.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Creating presentation with Astro. Do you know, who knows what Astro is? Astro is a framework, but who okay, great. Not everyone, but enough. So yeah, today I'd like to share a short story of how I try to use Astro for creating a presentation and how much fun and profit it was in the end. My name is Andrei Mikuliak. Some of you may remember me from previous talks. I'm mostly front-end architect. Last half a year, I've been working on my own project, which is related to APIs and making them better APIs. But before, I've been working in PKO BP, this Polish bank, and in Fresha. If you use IPCO.pl or IPCO Business or ICO, so basically, we created, we defined how they look like and implemented the web interface for them. And in Fresha, we created the best beauty and wellness platform in the world. So it's nice. It was a nice experience. So how it all begin? A couple of months ago, I started to think, okay, I've been working on products. I need to present it to many people in different situations. So I need to create a presentation, and I'm not a person who likes and who can create presentations easily. So but let's keep it a secret. I want to be able to create something classy, elegant, not only simple ones, but I also wanted to create fast. So weeks of preparing single presentation was no choice. I said no to PowerPoint, key point, and stuff like this almost at the beginning because they lock you too much and they limit you too much. Right? The web was the natural choice because you get it all of this out of the box. Unfortunately, I had to say no to all existing frameworks, presentation frameworks, because they were too low level and no semantics nor use copy-paste. Basically, the only method of reuse was copy-pasting. But fortunately, I learned about Astro a year before. I use it in this project, in the product I'm working on, and it looked like exactly what I needed. Right? So then I read some books. By the way, I recommend them if you need to know more about presentations. Both books are great. Then I got some works. I did a proof of concept in one day. Basically, in a day, I created a more or less nice 5-slide presentation for my family. It looked so promising. It was so fun that I didn't wait and decided to share it with you. That's why I'm here. Almost at the same time, I created first repo for Astro Slides. This is I called this library or project. Astro. Astro has 2 or 3 killer features. now I would like to show you all of them. And they really fit into presentations, because presentation is on the web is basically a mostly static site optimized for full screen presentation, for full screen, right? Contrary to other frameworks, Astro operates on components. You write just like in JSX syntax, which you know from React. And instead of HTML tags, you can use just meaningful names for components. So here, for example, we see real code for this presentation. Yeah, I started to dogfood my own project to myself as early as possible. So this presentation has been created using Astro. It's not yet ready. It's not on par with PowerPoint, but it looks good. For 2 days, I spent to creating it. Components first. Components are very composable because each component can define slots with the places where extra content can be put in, and you can when using this component, any component, you can specify in which slot of the parent it should fit in. So basically, it gives you infinite composability and very precise. And the developer experience really great of this approach. This was the second feature, and the third one, layouts. This was kind of done by myself. I looked through books, through existing maybe 120 templates, and choose 10. At the moment, there are 10 layouts, different layouts. Used for topical slides. I created CSS just grids for them, so it's easier to create slides with the given given layout. 10 slides, maybe 12 smaller components like navigation, titles, block of text, links, and so on. But they are all themable. They are meaningful when you write when you want to put a link. You write external link to something, right? Not anchor tag wrapped in UL, div, or span, right? It's much more easier and much faster. So as an outcome, I created this presentation maybe 3 times faster than I usually do. It took me a day and a half. Right? And it was a lot of fun. Just try. If you do not like presentations, just try Astro. It will be a lot of fun. But what's next? Because I do not want to have it only by myself, I created a repo. It will be open source. It has a roadmap. I still have to move code from my proof of concept repository. But if you are interested in this, in the presentations in this project, we can let's speak and cooperate. I have many more ideas that I can implement by myself in reasonable time. Maybe you will also have ideas. Maybe you will all. So just let's talk and cooperate, right? I think we can profit from this by ourselves, all of us. So this, and thank you. Maybe questions. You have any?
I'm just really still upset. I'm still a little upset. Okay, I'm really upset now. I'm just a little upset that I still can't pronounce your name. Does anyone have any more questions for?
Andrei Mikuliak.
Andrei. Anyone have any questions? Oh, of course. 1 second, I'll be right with you, sir. This is going to be on the far end. You need the microphone because the online audience needs to hear your question.
Thank you. How can you convince someone who is fan and expert of PowerPoint to switch to Astro?
This is not for everyone. I mean, if you for me the deal breaker was that learning, becoming an expert in PowerPoint required maybe 2, 3, maybe more weeks of using it extensively. I do not have such a time, but I do have time, and I know it's possible to do in the web.
The elevator pitch.
One more argument. If you, it's not that easy to embed something from third party to PowerPoint presentation. It's extremely easy to do on the web presentation. For example, for Visual Studio Code, you can easily embed Monaco editor into your slide, but it's very difficult to do in a PowerPoint presentation. You have to do a separate demo, which does not work always, these kind of problems.
Okay, I have a question, but first of all, thank you for your speech. Maybe I didn't get the point, but you told that you created that presentation in 1 day, right? Is it correct?
I mean, I created a proof of concept. This was more or less this presentation. It took me a day. Then I spent maybe half a day of polishing it, just to add in, removing stuff, adding some more
Okay, because I'm trying to find the real value of your proof of concept and find a thing that we cannot do in tools like Canva, for example, as a developers.
You have full control over what you do. You are shareable. You can embed everything. You can embed your presentation into everything. It is searchable because for example, I have more than 200 PowerPoint presentation and Google Slides. For the God's sake, I can't find information in them. I remember there is some slide I want to reuse, and I can find it without spending too much, 2 hours. Here, you can do it in 2-3 minutes because it's one place.
Okay, thank you very much.
Interesting question, though. What is the value of all of this anyway? I like the question, and the answer, full control. And that really means something. I'm a Canva user, okay? So I understand the importance of really being able to have full mastery of whatever it is that you're presenting. Anyone else have any other questions? Say it one more time. I just want to hear you say it. Come on.
The
elevator pitch? Oh, but I just need to hear the name. Where's the person who has the question? Okay. Raise your hand a little higher. Do it with your full chest. Okay, 1 second. I'll be right there. Over here. There you go.
Hi, I wanted to ask why not Reveal.js? Why created something?
Why not what?
Reveal.js. Reveal.
Reveal. It was the first choice. It's too low level. You can't basically. In order to create a slide, you need to operate on the divs, tags, and HTML level. It's not semantic. There was an example of how a slide with 2 paragraphs of text looks like. Right? Bigger slides look unreadable, simply unreadable, and it's too difficult to create presentation in Reveal. Let's safe say to reuse them. For example, Reveal has theming, right? But theming is limited to CSS. So colors, fonts, sizes, right? Maybe borders, maybe. You cannot adjust the structure of slides. You can't modify grid, right? But you will need this if you will have many presentations. Okay. At some point you say, okay, this template is too old, I used it too many times, I want to remaster the template. In Reveal, it's an entertainment. Here, it's a breeze.
A breeze?
Breeze.
Oh, anyone convinced that it's a breeze? Oh, you have a couple of converts here who definitely think this is a reasonable solution.
Okay.
Absolutely. Any other questions before we move on? Thank you very, very, very much, sir.
You can exercise later if you want.
Yeah, I desperately need to conquer that name. It seems so simple. I thought I heard Andre because, it's normal here to have that name, and that's not what it is. Anyway, I've been informed that our next Lightning Talk speaker, and thank goodness, because one of our speakers unfortunately fell ill and was not able to make it, is Bartek Legionch. Are you here, Bartek? Welcome him to the stage to save the day. Our hero. Thank you so much. Topic?
TypeScript 2/. Yeah, I'll be doing stuff around here. Yeah. Or I'll try to do stuff around here. Yeah. I like this place. It's like Wysoka Izbo. Okay, so I have to pull out my phone because basically I was preparing all of it during like a break. So how many of you heard about TypeScript 2/? Nobody. That's cool. So it's something that I've learned like about yesterday. Yep. So I'm basically in this room. I am. Probably most of you know TypeScript, and they have really nice way of showing code snippets in their docs. So basically, if you've got some code and it should throw an error, like the TypeScript error, it's not so easy to like normally show it out and like create a code snippet or to show what a type is. So they've built a thing called TypeScript 2/, which allows you to have a TypeScript code. You put it into a thing they called 2/, and then it kind of like executes the code and finds the errors and then puts them like here. So the next line will throw an error 2532, which you can Google and see what it is. It's like an internal name of an error. But yeah, so here you can see that there's like a function and you've just written the function and it has error 7006. And if you plug it into some nice tools that are built around it, it will automatically add this for you. So it's super easy to create those code snippets that have actual TypeScript, which will run the TypeScript, and the errors will be the actual ones that will happen. So you just write code and all of the errors are there. And there's one more thing that I wanted to show you, which is oh, no, not here. Oh, no, sorry, 2/2/CDN. This one. So you can have it here run in the browser. It loaded for super long for me before, so I hope it will work. But basically, oh yeah, it did. So here's the source code for that page, and you've got a code snippet like this, and that's super important here. So you point at count and like give a question mark, so what it is. And what it does is evaluates all of it and shows you a tooltip with what it is actually, what TypeScript knows about it. So it's super nice for creating code snippets. I've seen a few of those code snippets today that could have used this. You don't have to create your own comments and like try to guess what's there. You get actual TypeScript. You get, if you change the snippet, it will actually update, and all of the things will be as if you hovered over the stuff, for example, in VS Code. So it's called TypeScript 2/. Once again, there's this thing called Shikiji, which is like a compilation of 2/ and like a highlighting library. And yeah, I guess that's it. So.
Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. And it's interesting, that's one of the first times that I've seen no one raise their hand. Who is familiar with TypeScript 2/? And the room fell silent, Mr. Legionch. Does anyone have any questions for Bartek about TypeScript 2/? I'll go this way, and we're back.
So I've heard about it during the break and now the second time, and I think I get it. So the 2/ name is from the 2 slashes representing a comment explaining what the type will be, right?
Yeah, so it's kind of that's one thing. So you can point it out to this place and say, hey, what is this place? But it also does the other thing, which is like actually executes the code. Will check where the error is, for example, with TypeScript, and it will save it. Will give you in a nice JSON, and you can show it like somewhere here. So basically, it's show errors. This one, So that's generated by this library.
And the main use case for that is basically making documentation.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's documentation, code snippets, like it's a extension to Markdown-ish.
So, by the way, that was question 2/. Oh, you got that? Okay. The question, because I'm into this prompting thing. So the question is, what does the 2/ stand for or signify? That's the question. Here we go.
And it turns out that the 2/ stands for 2 slashes. So, yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, I actually have 2 questions. One is, you said that you have seen some presentations that could use
yours,
those
for
tricks. Yes. And the other question is it true that you have birthday today?
Yes, I do.
Yes. So.
Sto lat, niech żyje nam. Jeszcze raz, niech żyje nam. Głośniej! Niech żyje nam! Legiąć. And I finally figured out how to pronounce your name for your birthday, especially.
Yeah.
You have more to
great.
say on this topic, I think.
Well, I mean, like my birthday, or
Yeah, your birthday. Yeah. That's the topic, right?
okay, cool. So it's today.
Congratulations and thanks for being with us on your birthday. That was really special. Thank you very much. Are you sure no one has any other questions about this TypeScript 2/? No other questions. You really filled in. You saved. There is one more. You're really saving me again. A lot of heroes in here today. We thank you for your participation. This is why it's a community contribution. Thank you.
So I think since you're expert, I think that will be a simple question, but how does it actually work? Does it transpile in TypeScript to JavaScript, or
so
does it have some interpreter?
I don't know what exactly is under the hood. Like the usage is like this. So you've got a source, you pass it to 2/, and it gives you some stuff. The stuff is this exact same thing, but without those sneaky comments that like pointed to the thing. And also it gives you a JSON with, I think, like the line where the error happens and what was the error. So you can render it. And that's 2/, and then Shijiki is the thing that renders it and uses the thing. Cool. Okay, thank you.
Rafał Pocztarski. Niech żyje nam. Okay, folks, we have a special surprise now, even more special than that. Seems incredible, difficult to believe. And by the way, thank you to our audience online once more. Any questions you may have had for any of our speakers, please enter them, put them in the comments in our WarsawJS YouTube channel, and we will try to get back to you with some answers. That being said, folks, we need a very energetic welcome for our next lightning talk speaker. That would be Mr. Piotr Tara. Energy, yeah.
Hello.
You want this?
No, it's fine for me to speak through this. I just wanted to say that Barry contributed recently strongly to the community with his radio IT. This will be something like WarsawJS News, or I don't know, but you can call it as you want. So Barry, if you look up for radio IT, I think I will share this thing. Yeah, it's here, Radio IT. It has only 20 subscribers. So let's make it better. I will put it. I will. Later. There is a new episode, video episode. So I put it on general to everyone here. So you can subscribe, you can hear it, you can feedback, you can speak about that and see if you also would like to be a contributor, so maybe the next interviewee of Radio IT, the place to be, man. So that's something that contributes to the community, and also Michał Miszczyszyn. We wrote with each other today. Michał is known as Type of Web. He's also running a concurrent community, and with his friend and also a strong contributor to our community, Jakub Neander, alias Zaiste. He's a creator of many open source products. One of them is Hundsvot, for example. I don't know if you heard about that, but it's an interesting library, open source library to create monoliths, and also in JavaScript. So generally, they are creating something that is called. Maybe I should go the other way around. Who of you codes in Next.js? Next.js? Okay, not so many, several hands, maybe a bit more. But anyway, they told me today that there are only 22 days to their conference that will be here in Warsaw on 2nd February. And now the tickets are discounted for a week. So you can see that the partner is WarsawJS, obviously, also Type of Web and so on. But anyway, this is the community here. You also know Tomasz Ducin, one of our core speakers, also at WarsawJS. So you can see you can buy the tickets for discounted price. That's something I also wanted to share. So if you're interested in this conference, I'm changing now the slides for you, Barry, because we want to have also your feedback for this meetup. So
we do.
Yeah, so now your turn, Barry. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for that. That was really a surprise. Just in case anyone wants to know some more interesting information about Radio IT, what is it? Why does it exist? We started it independently during and just before the pandemic, and basically it was music for programmers at the beginning. So a lot of programmers were working remotely. They were sitting at home. What are we doing? We're staring at the screen, and it was background music. Initially, it was not a video podcast. It was mostly to be listened to. Then me had a brilliant idea. Why don't we make it into a video podcast? A little bit more complex and complicated. However, what we've begun to do is to invite people from some of the companies, even some of our sponsors, to speak on some very prescient topics. So you will be able to get some information about different companies which are hiring, new technologies, the same types of information and the same quality in speakers as you would have almost at WarsawJS, and also fantastic music if you listen to music while you're programming. Having said that, yes, we would like for you to hopefully scan this. Please look for us. And if anything, I believe is that we don't judge, generally, I don't judge podcasts by their subscribers. I really judge them by the views. So the more views you can give us, we appreciate the likes and everything. Check it out, see what it looks like. We would really appreciate that. Here is the QR code for our survey. Give us some feedback on what you like, what you would like to see improved, what you would like to include in our WarsawJS Meetup environment, and we will be listening to you. We really would appreciate that very, very much. In addition, here's the QR code for the next WarsawJS. So if you haven't captured this code yet, please grab it. You will get a discount. They're not saying how much the discount is. Lightning burst. I don't know what that means exactly. However, a significant discount for sure for our next WarsawJS Meetup, and hopefully I will be there with you. Everybody got the code? I see some phones up. Everybody get your phones up. All right. And having said that, we would just go back and want to thank again our WarsawJS team and our sponsors, Snowflake and Xfang, and also our media partner, KMag. Thank you very much for participating. This has been really comfortable. We really want to give a really warm welcome and thanks to the sponsors here at Snowflake. They made it really nice, right? Was it nice? Yay! Excellent. And everyone still has some energy, so we invite you for some more networking before we go home. And having said that, it's a good night to everyone and see you next time. Thank you very, very much. Peace.